glad to have you with us once again. Welcome to the latest edition of Leading Edge. I'm your host, Jeff Smith. The Toledo Mud Hens moved from Maumee's Ned Skelton Stadium to downtown Toledo's Fifth Third Field in 2002. The Toledo Storm became the Toledo Walleye and relocated from the sports arena to the Huntington Center in 2009. ProMedica moved its corporate headquarters into the historic steam plant building in downtown Toledo in August of 2017. There was a ripple effect of new development, an attempt to create an entertainment, living, and working epicenter in downtown. Now, there have been more than a few, I'll say, hiccups along the way, including a global pandemic. But the effort to make downtown Toledo and the greater Toledo area has never wavered, the effort to make it more. Taking the reins of Connect Toledo, an organization looking to further growth and development, is the new CEO, Christine Michaels, and so glad to have you on here.
Thank you.
Paul Toth was sitting in this seat months ago, more than a year ago, saying, I think I'm going to hang it up, and we're going to start looking for a new leader. Here you are to fill that role. So welcome. Let me be the 150th person to say welcome.
Thank you. And I have gotten a wonderful welcome, I have to say, from every agency and every individual that I've met so far along the way. It's really been wonderful.
Coming from Tennessee.
Yes.
Yes? And I asked you as we were coming in today, I said, did Toledo find you? Did you find it?
I found Toledo.
Okay.
I saw the job posting, and it had been sort of the culmination of things that I've done over my 25-year career in economic and community development. I said, wow, these are all the things that I love to do.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to throw my hat in.
What did you know about the Glass City coming into it?
Not much. I had been here years ago.
Did you know what a mud hen was?
No.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Hopefully they didn't ask you that in the interview.
But I got to, well, by then I knew what a mud hen was. And I got to go to the season opener, which was fantastic.
Oh,
so,
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, as we talk a little bit more about what you bring to the table, I'm interested in the interview, the process, and Connect Toledo obviously coming together. There is a board of directors for that organization.
Yes.
You said there were many more who you had to meet with.
I did. And so it was very extensive, I have to say. They really did a lot of due diligence. We did a video interview as the initial round, and then the finalists were brought in, and we were asked to give an hour-long presentation about what we thought the organization could do in the downtown and in the greater area, and how we could help support what you just enumerated is going on here.
Yeah.
And so I guess I presented that well, but a lot of questions, a lot of very thought-provoking questions about what can we do around the innovation space and really promoting that part of Toledo.
When you get into that room, when you get into that moment, I'm curious, and for our audience, is it, here's all the things that we think are wrong that need fixed? Is that how it plays out, or is it very different?
It was actually...
and I'm not necessarily saying about Connect Toledo,
right.
I'm saying specific to our region.
No, it was actually more proactive than that, of what are your ideas? How can we take all these different plans with the various community plans, the city's master plan, our Rising Together plan, what we've been doing already, and how can we kind of take that and go the next step forward? So it was very positive, I have to say. They were looking for ideas.
What did you bring?
Well,
can you tell us any of that stuff?
Sure. I mean,
what is possible in Toledo?
Well, as I started doing the research to prepare for the interview, I actually sat and read hundreds of pages of these master plans for the neighborhoods for the city, and I started to see this really cohesive pattern of energy, if you will, of people really wanting to make the most of what they have. And when I came to do the initial interview, I had a driving tour, and I could see the buildings that could be put to reuse. I saw the ones that had been put to reuse. And I'm like, what a great example of what you have here. You've got good infrastructure, you've got parking downtown, you've got beautiful parks, what Metro Parks is doing, what's happening at the docks. I mean, it's just, and you've got the transportation aspect, right? You've got the highway system, you've got freight, you've got railroad, you've got the port. It's just like this wonderful combination
All these
of
things,
resources.
Yeah, and there have been things in motion, and I know this summer, obviously, there was a lot of talk about Connect Toledo taking over Party in the Park,
Yes.
bringing that back around. In fact, we have some video of 1988 when it was in its heyday, when I was down there as a kid, moving my way about Promenade Park for Party in the Park. But that is one of the things. I think it came out of meetings and kind of that longing for yesteryear, for
Yes.
what Toledo did well, and how do we bring that back. And we're going to see that play out. But my question to you is, all these things take money, right? And it takes funding. And there are a lot of sis-boom-ba people in Northwest Ohio and Toledo, but you also need to have those people who are also writing checks. So how do you make that happen?
Well, you have to, it's a combination of resources. There's no one magic check writer. I think the county has done
There
it.
was at one time.
Not today.
Yes.
But I think it's a combination, right? You've got your developers that are willing to put some skin in the game. You've got Lucas County, you've got the city of Toledo, you've got individuals and organizations and other businesses willing to help. You've got some creative funding mechanisms that you can use through the Port Authority and through some other agencies, tax credits and historic districts.
From your experience, we got a couple minutes left. From your experience, is it sports? Is it music? Is it theater? What, or
Yes.
all of the above?
It's all. Because
How do you bring those to the table?
Well, I think, you know, if you...
Did you go into your interview and say, we need another sports franchise in this city?
What I went in with was saying, you're lucky you have them.
Okay.
And let's make the most of them. And certainly anything we can attract, the more the better. But I think there's such a good core here, because if you look at what a creative community wants, right, and it goes hand in hand with technology and that whole innovation space, they're looking for a vibrant downtown, and that is all those things: the arts, the restaurants, the music, the parks. Any other kind of activity that brings people together.
Does it ripple outside? You've seen what's happening in the Vistula district. I'm sure they've shown you that.
Uptown,
and that's the one thing. Things
Everywhere.
kind of
Warehouse.
stopped at Cherry Street, and they stopped at certain other, if you draw a circle, there was, I talked about the steam plant for ProMedica when it went in there, and there was this riptide that went out from that. However, it kind of hit a wall and stopped. How do you get into the neighborhoods? Is that important in our last minute?
Oh, absolutely. I think especially like you talked about the ripple effect. So those neighborhoods that abut the downtown, they're crucial to that success. And I think when the core is healthy, right, it does ripple out. And that's when you can connect the various neighborhoods to what's going on.
Is it jobs? Is it housing? Is it both? Which comes first?
It's an ecosystem, and I think it is the chicken and egg, right? You need to have the jobs to get the people to be working downtown. They want to live downtown. Then they want to go to a restaurant. Then they want shopping. And it's a cycle. We're trying to promote the reuse of buildings and adding both office and residential to the mix.
3 weeks in, when's the next big announcement from Connect Toledo?
Well, the next big thing will be Party in the Park when that starts up, and Lunch at Levis is starting in June as well. So we're going to have a lot of things to keep people busy.
Yeah, okay. Christine, great to talk to you.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate the time, and good luck going
Thank
forward.
you.
And welcome again to the Glass
Appreciate it.
City. We'll be
Thanks.
back right after this. Welcome back here on Leading Edge. Once again, I'm your host, Jeff Smith. As a business owner and a city council member, she pushed for years for a better glass city, but that view changed and got a lot wider when she took the helm of the Toledo Area Metropolitan Council of Governments, better known as TMACOG. That's the easier way to say it. Sandy Spang joins us now on Leading Edge. Great to have you. Good to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about one of the things that I brought you on to discuss here today, because it has been at the forefront of so many conversations, especially with the development in the central part of the state. And US 23 leading us into Columbus, the money that is either going towards studying a better route, making us benefit from the work that's happening there. What kind of information are you getting on how we're going to succeed with that?
Yeah. Well, you know, if we're going to talk about our region, we really do have to talk about our route to our state capital.
Yeah.
We are the only region in the state that doesn't have direct freeway access to what is one of the fastest growing cities in the country, the 12th largest metro in the country. And so as the only area in the state that doesn't have a free-flowing route to Columbus, we're really cut off from the economic development that can mean. You know, we've got the Gordie Howe Bridge opening in the fall, and so freight can't move freely. So that's one thing that our region has spoken about with one voice. You know, there was a study that was completed recently that looked at the whole state, the economic development and transportation, the junction of the two. We had 150 people from throughout our region at the train station in the Grand Lobby where our offices are located, speaking with one voice about the need for a new route to Columbus. And
the
governor recognizes it. We've been banging on the drum for so long, Sandy.
That's right. Well, I have good news.
Okay.
And we really have to thank our legislative delegation because it started in the Senate, in the state Senate. Our senators, Senator Reineke and Senator Hicks Hudson, Senator Gavrone, introduced an amendment into the state transportation budget, not for a study, but for a plan to select a route. We know it's going to be between Marion and Waldo, connecting to 71, to select a route. And there have been several suggested, you know, 292, 592, but to select a route, complete a plan. In conjunction, ODOT, Ohio Department of Transportation, with the Ohio Turnpike, and create a plan for a route. And you know, we're a planning organization at TMACOG. First, you need to have that engineering plan before you can move to the implementation and the funding step. So this is the furthest we've come. This is really good news for our region. And it's also good news for the Delaware area. You know, we were talking as we came in, I was in Columbus yesterday. I've been in Columbus a lot recently, but I haven't driven 23 because when I put in my phone that I'm going to Columbus, it might send me on 68, two-road highway, a lot of agricultural vehicles there, but a lot of traffic now. Or,
are you avoiding it, or
no,
you're
my phone is telling me 68, 315.
Waze or Google is taking you somewhere else.
33. And so all of these roads are experiencing extreme overload. And the congestion on 23 in Delaware, you know, in my lifetime, 39 traffic lights have been added between Marion and Delaware. It's unbearable for the folks who live there.
I think about what took so long to get us the bypass to 24 and how much better of a route that is. If I would have had that when I was going to Indiana and driving to the Hoosier State, I would have gotten there in 4 hours flat. But it was a process to get to that point.
Well, and I think it's a great example, Jeff. I use it all the time, port to fort, right? We know, and what a great route for passengers, but also for freight. But it had opposition. You remember, it was not an easy. It was not an easy win.
I want to jump on to some other things. You mentioned freight, and first Ohio Conference on Freight in Toledo since 2013 is coming when?
It's going to be the last 3 days of July. And you know, TMACOG...
Why is this a big deal?
Well, TMACOG founded this conference, and for years, every year, we put this conference on. And in 2013, our state organization, Ohio Association of Regional Councils, took it over, and it rotated, get ready, between Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus.
Go figure.
Yeah, there you go. And you know, nobody can tell the story of freight better than Northwest Ohio. We are at the junction of the longest east-west and north-south highways in the country. We have one of the busiest rail corridors for freight in the country. Our airport has never had more freight going in and out of it than before, but...
And from an intermodal standpoint, you mentioned the Gordie Howe, which is going in, and it's just going to increase precipitously.
You know, it's not just that the Gordie Howe is a huge bridge. It's the customs. It's the way they're going to process customs. Because we have a freight advisory committee that we have at TMACOG, truck drivers and other folks. They will tell us that when the Ambassador Bridge backs up, they may be rerouted to Port Huron. They may be rerouted to Buffalo, New York. So we're not going to get warehousing in Northwest Ohio if they can't have reliable passage through customs. Do you know that on the U.S. side of customs, on the Gordie Howe Bridge, 167 acres of customs area, 36 customs bays, 26 sub bays. This and all high tech.
Yeah.
So we're going to take
It's been called a game changer.
Oh yeah, everyone at the conference, we're taking them all up by motor coach, and they're all going to tour that customs area. But you know, our opening speaker is Lorenzo Gonsalves, the CEO, president, and chairman of the board of Cleveland Cliffs. Do you know Cleveland Cliffs? With their Toledo facility, they bring 2 million tons of iron ore from Minnesota into our port of Toledo. That means 100 extra ships a year.
Yeah.
We have a freight story that we need to tell.
Right.
So I'm so excited to bring this conference here, last 3 days of July. And you know, we've got tremendous regional support. So it's very exciting. We're really excited to do this.
I want to spend the last minute once again. You've got a water coalition, you've got a water workforce coalition, you've got an economic development plan that spreads out over 5 counties.
Yes.
Which is going to do what? And we've got about 30 seconds.
Well, this is a new work. I mean, we've been involved in transportation planning and water planning, but economic development is a new work for TMCOG. It doesn't duplicate anything that's happening in our region. We haven't done a great job in our region of bringing Economic Development Administration, EDA dollars, into our region because we haven't been an economic development district. And it takes time to become designated as a district with the EDA.
So is this a new hat for TMCOG?
Yes, and it's one of the main reasons that I was excited to come to TMCOG because you know my passion for economic development.
Right.
And so we are creating a comprehensive economic development strategy for Lucas Wood, Ottawa, Sandusky, and Seneca counties. That's one step. Once we're designated, we're going to be eligible for grants that we've never been eligible for before. And all the folks that are doing economic development in that 5-county area will have a new tool in the toolbox.
That's awesome.
That will be able to bring new grants to the community.
Once that gets up and going, we're going to have you back.
Yeah, it's great. It's
Sandy, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. We'll be back.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back right after this. Welcome back here on Leading Edge. It's been without a doubt another bullseye on Northwest Ohio for the rest of the country. In fact, for the rest of the world for that matter. Authorities arrested Anthony Labrador Sierra, a 24-year-old Venezuelan national, on felony forgery charges this week. Police say he posed as a 16-year-old high school student enrolling at Perrysburg High School using falsified documents. He claimed to be homeless and was even taken in by a local host family. Now, during his time at school, Labrador Sierra was a member of the junior varsity soccer and swim teams. The deception came to light when a woman contacted his host family, revealing his true age and that he was the father of her child. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has since lodged a detainer for Labrador Sierra, who is also reported to have overstayed his work visa. Perrysburg school officials state that they were misled. So this has been deceit. This has been duped. We're so grateful to have Stephen Zenner from the Toledo Free Press joining us, investigative reporter. Your reaction to this being in our backyard? And obviously it's gotten a lot of attention around the country.
Right. I am a graduate of Perrysburg High School myself, graduated back in 2009. It is surprising to have it happen in our backyard. I think the specifics of this case are being framed as, you know, deception and different things like that. It is surprising to have a 24-year-old man enrolled in high school. Yeah. He still has a trial and those types of things, so we'll see how much of that comes out and how much can be verified and whatnot, but it appears...
Well, we've spent the entire week saying alleged 24-year-old, alleged 17-year-old, because there's no clarification right now, and they can't get I guess the agreements between the U.S. and Venezuela right now. That's making it difficult for a birth certificate.
There's a lot of difficulty in this case, and even the lack of clarity between ICE agents saying that he entered illegally in 2020, which may be true, but also local officials saying that he had a work visa up until 2023 when he did apply for this space in the school, which appears, if I'm reading it correctly, it looks like he was attempting to save a space in the United States by applying through the McKinney-Vento law.
Right, saying he was homeless and the schools didn't have a choice but to allow him in as a student. ICE came out, obviously we said the detainer that they put down on him. They also came out this week, we shared it with the WTOL 11 audience, saying that they said, quote, "It is disturbing that a grown man would impersonate a teenager and infiltrate the lives of underage girls and boys to fool them into doing God knows what." The Perrysburg police chief late this week telling a Cleveland TV station, this is just the tip of the iceberg, what we've already reported for this case.
Right, and I think what's interesting, you know, he was picked up near 75, wearing, you know, a Toledo Celtics jersey, and he was also involved in extracurricular activities.
And that soccer organization has distanced itself from him too.
Right, and so we can see all these different factors coming together, but I think it shows the disparity of what's happening to the Venezuelan people, that these are the lengths that they're willing to go to. You know, UNHCR put up some statistics. You know, there are 5 countries that account for about 75%,
right,
a little bit less than 75%, 73%.
But as a parent of a kid who's in
refugees and migrants.
I get it, but as a parent of a kid who's in that district and you've got a 24-year-old commiserating with 16 and 17 and 14-year-olds, I don't think that falls on their ears very easy.
I don't think anybody is saying that immigration isn't an issue. Immigration is a giant issue. And when I became involved with it in 2015 and started studying it, the world refugee population was about 21 million. It's almost doubled since then.
We got about 15 seconds. Do you point the finger of blame at anybody? Because State Representative Haraz Gambari says you can't blame the schools on this one.
I think the school system was doing what they thought was good.
And what they could.
And what they could, but I think the status of the world requires more complex problem solving.
Stephen Zenner, we're going to have to leave it right there from the Toledo Free Press. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Stay right there. Excellent. We're going to wrap things up for this week right after this. Well, just a reminder, if you missed any part of our conversation, you can find Leading Edge on the WTOL 11 YouTube page and all the time on WTOL 11 Plus.